to segue to the real team in LA, let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. So obviously, the Lakers are, 1 year removed from the champions. They are still the champions until somebody is crowned, in the next couple of days here between the Suns and Milwaukee. But I think the Lakers are actually in a little bit of trouble. Clearly they have a couple years with LeBron still playing at a peak level. Anthony Davis, when he's playing, is elite, but he's not always playing. They brought in so many shooters that just weren't shooting the ball well when they needed to. But one thing that you can tell them, they've always been really, really good at defense. They do have some guys that they need to bring back in the offseason. Once again, another team that doesn't have a lot of flexibility as far as roster, as far as paying guys. I think they only have the mid-level exception. And Schroeder is going to be a free agent. Alex Caruso is going to be a free agent. So I know this is going to hurt your soul, and you really don't want to give any advice as far as how the Lakers could be good. But let us take our emotions out of it, Brandon, and just being GM Brandon, and you are the GM of the Lakers. What are you doing to bring this team back into the championship and winning another title?
So the first thing I'm doing, right, is bringing back THT, Taylor Horton-Tucker, and Alex Caruso. Mm-hmm. Caruso needs some more minutes because their lineups are always the best when they have Caruso on the floor, who's just a guy who can play defense, will take smart shots. He's not going to try to take anything away from the offense, and he can defend. That guy works his butt off. So they need to bring back those two guys. THT to just come off the bench, right? Like a solid guy off their bench. I think he's going to develop into a good young piece. And then outside of that, we got to see what can happen to get Anthony Davis healthy. Is it something that they're going to be able to do? You know what I mean? Because like Chris Paul always had nagging injuries, right? Like there's always something going on with him. But over the last couple of years, he's been able to change his diet, change whatever his training regimen is. And maybe that's what LeBron needs to do, is take AD aside and be like, hey, man, you're on the LeBron diet now. Because whatever LeBron's been doing for years it's been working. It's been doing well for him. And if we can't keep him healthy, then it's time to try to see what kind of value we can get for him. Can we bring in Dame? Because if we can, let's make it happen. Because LeBron needs a number 2 or even a guy that's going to step up and take over for him as he fades away into these 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything you said is accurate. I think Caruso is the biggest returning player that they need to bring in. Him and LeBron have really good chemistry on the floor, and Caruso is just somebody who, can guard the other team's best guard, doesn't need the ball always, but still can hit some timely 3-pointers and isn't a liability on the floor, right? So I think that he definitely needs to be brought back. My biggest question is what do you do with Schroeder, right? So Schroeder had a game in the postseason where he scored 0 points on 0-9 shooting. Magic Johnson has come out and said that he doesn't think Schroeder is a Laker, which is when a great is saying that about you. I don't know if Schroeder wants to come back, but what would you do with Schroeder? Are you bringing him back, or what do you think needs to be done?
So I don't think you can bring Schroeder back to the Lakers. When Schroeder played next to Chris Paul in OKC, he looked really good. And when I first heard that the Lakers were getting him, I was like, oh, this could be scary. You know what I mean? But he didn't go back to that guy. He thought that he was better than what he was. He thought he should have been like the number 2 or 3rd option every now and then behind LeBron and AD. And so but he's a free agent. And I don't believe in letting dudes just walk. I'm always about, let's try to find a sign and trade. Like, what can we do to get some kind of asset back to him? And so that's the avenue that I would explore, is looking to sign and trade him.
Right? I think, I'm good. I just my throat's a little dry,
Yeah.
But I think a guy that I would really like to see them go after is Kyle Lowry. I think that if Lowry would come, obviously take a pay cut because that's the only way they could get it. But I think Lowry's talked about playing with LeBron in the past. I think they need a solid point guard that can take the ball out of LeBron's hands, because LeBron can't play point guard because it's just too much wear on his body. He wasn't as healthy as we needed him to be in the playoffs, and it's just because he doesn't have anybody to really help him with the on the ball type stuff. So a guy like Lowry, who can end up being somebody that could run the offense when LeBron is needing a rest. But I just don't know if they could afford somebody like that.
Do you 100% think LeBron's ready to give up the ball, though? Like, I know they've talked about since he's gone to LA, and they've said, like, oh, with AD coming here, he wants to give up the reins. But that's when I watch them, that's not what I see. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure. I agree that they need somebody else to help bring up the ball, kind of like we talked about with Jimmy in Miami. Like, right. LeBron shouldn't have to do it all the time. But it's not like Schroeder's terrible at it. Like, why did he not get enough run doing it? Is it just that Schroeder wasn't the right point guard fit for LeBron? Does he need
I think LeBron
can actually take over like the whole time like Kyrie used to? You know
yeah, I mean? I think LeBron has that same thing like Kobe has, where they're willing to give the ball up if they trust you. Like Kobe was willing to give the ball up to a guy like Derek Fisher, but maybe not to other players. You know what I mean? Right. And I think LeBron is willing to give the ball up, because when Rondo was on the team and, it was playoff Rondo in the playoffs, LeBron was fine letting Rondo take the ball up. And, that was when, LeBron was the freshest, because he had Rondo carrying the bulk of the load of running the offense for half of the game. So I just don't think he trusted Schroeder as much as he trusted Rondo. Yeah. And that's why I think it needs to be like a veteran guy, a guy like Kyle Lowry that LeBron will trust, because I think he needs that, because if LeBron and AD are injured the way that they were this season, Lakers have no hope, no matter who you bring on it. So yeah. I think LeBron is more wear and tear. AD is more mentality. He needs to just be able to fight through things, I think, a little more than he does. But we'll see, man. It's going to be – I know this is way too early. We don't even know who the champions are this season.
We don't even know how the draft went yet.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, Brandon, for coming on the show.
Thanks for
I had a lot of fun, man. Maybe we could do this again, talk about some other teams closer to the draft and all that kind of stuff. But until then, I put all of Brandon's the link to his podcast. He has a podcast. When do you guys drop the podcast?
We're picking it up back in August. We had to put it on hiatus because he bought a house and was redoing his house, and then I bought my house. So it was on pause while we're under construction. But we'll be back in August.
Nice little flex, but
yeah.
Obviously that podcast is doing well. But yeah, so definitely check Brandon's podcast out. And till next time, guys, keep it so real.
Thanks for having me, brother.